Oh boy, trigger. This is bad. Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. We'll be taking a look at Miss Posh Spice herself, Victoria Beckham. But before we get into it, I want to talk to you about these awesome new shoes from Vessi. So I have bought so many shoes over the years that promise to be waterproof and fuss-free, only to step in the teeniest little puddle and them to be ruined for life. Honestly, I'm a mom of two boys. Puddles are kind of our jam. But this Vessi Weekender shoe is 100% waterproof, sandproof, slush-proof, and slip-proof, so they keep my feet totally dry and are 100% washable for those really muddy days or even in the snow. It's actually pretty crazy. They're also sustainably made, vegan, and made with a dual climate knit material called Dymatex that keeps them cool in the summer and warm in the winter, and they're surprisingly stylish for every day. Plus, they're awesome for travel because they're so easy to just throw in a bag or in the wash. I basically wear these every day, all spring and summer long, and surprisingly, I can still wear them into the winter with all of our Canadian rain, slush, and snow. They're super comfortable, lightweight, and breathable, and they have so many amazing styles for different looks. Vessis are my go-to shoes by my door every day. So check them out at the link below and use my code to get $25 off your Vessi shoes. And you can pause the screen or look at the description to check out my disclaimer, including a trigger warning to those with current or previous experiences with disordered eating. So as always, feel free to skip this video if it's not supportive to your journey. And if you are not already subscribed, hit that sub button and follow me over on TikTok and Instagram at Abby's Kitchen. Alrighty folks, let's get into it. So back in February 2022, David Beckham was a guest on the River Cafe Table 4 podcast to discuss all things food and beverage with Michelin star chef Ruthie Rogers. A true foodie at heart, David shared how much he loves cooking and eating with the people he loves, which is when he let it slip about his wife's consistent absence from this family affair. Let's take a listen.
Unfortunately, I'm married to someone that has eaten the same thing for the last 25 years. Since I've met her, Victoria, she only eats, grilled fish, steamed vegetables. She'll very rarely deviate away from there. The only time that she's ever probably shared something that's been on my plate was actually when she was pregnant with Harper.
Do you remember what
and
it was?
And it was the most amazing thing. It was one of my favourite evenings. I can't remember what it was, but I know that she's not eaten it since.
So this actually breaks my heart. Now, aside from the fact that I would legit do anything to share a meal with David Beckham.
Sounds like an adventure. I'm in.
This absolutely triggers memories of my own ED days and the impact that my rigidity had on others. Not surprisingly, this comment resulted in dozens of articles suggesting that Victoria has an ED herself. And while I'm not diagnosing anyone, I would say that generally, exclusively relying on a small number of safe foods and avoiding shared family meals is a common disordered eating red flag. From a nutrient perspective, we're ultimately talking about pretty much the lowest calorie options available. Little to no fat, little to no carbs, just low calorie vegetables and lean protein. Limited diet diversity risks nutritional deficiencies and malnutrition and can disadvantage a healthy gut microbiome as well. It also clearly puts a strain on social interactions and relationships, and I specifically worry about the impact on their observing children, especially their daughter Harper. But let's find out from Victoria herself what she says she allegedly eats in a day.
I'm a very fussy eater. I like things to be cooked in a very simple way. I don't like oils and butters and sauces, but you guys are always so accommodating and always cook the food exactly how I like it. Very simple, very clean, incredibly fresh, and just perfect. And then, I love some steamed vegetables on the side, some balsamic vinegar, and then to season myself.
So there's no denying that we all have our food preferences, and being a fussy eater isn't necessarily disordered. But having rigid rules around how food is prepared is one of the common traits of an ED, especially if those rules result in the lowest calorie meals possible. It really comes down to intention, and when the quest for simplicity and eating clean becomes an obsession and all-consuming, it often teeters into orthorexic territory. Folks with orthorexic tendencies often have a lot of anxiety around how food is cooked. They often choose low-cal cooking methods like steaming or grilling over sauteing, frying, or roasting in oil. They may avoid oils, butters, and sauces with unknown ingredients, and they may choose low-calorie, sugar-free, clean seasonings like Himalayan sea salt, hot sauce, or vinegars. All of these rules often are used to maintain a sense of control, but long-term, they actually have the opposite effect. Now, some may say that these are just a preference, but celebrities like Victoria have a lot of power and influence over young, impressionable girls around the world, not to mention the dangerous message that this communicates to her own children. Obviously, Victoria is a very beautiful woman and is married to arguably the most beautiful man in the world. And I do worry that her fans will try to mimic her preferences to yield similar life or body results.
So to most restaurants, I'm probably the worst nightmare.
It's not good. Speaking of renowned restaurants, celebrity chef Wolfgang Puck has also confirmed Victoria's restrictive dining habits and revealed that the Spice Girl only orders spinach or steamed veggies with like a little touch of salt in there whenever her and her hubby are dining at his restaurants. That is just sad. I mean, I have met and worked with Wolfgang himself, and he is such a kind and talented chef. No protein, no carbs, no fat, not even enough calories for a snack. It is so surprising and sad and disappointing to me that these restrictive behaviors have been maintained for so long without any kind of intervention or personal attempt to change.
So I just decided from that point to really try and eat in a clean way. Lots of fresh vegetables, lots of fish. I don't have any dairy at all. I haven't eaten red meat since I was about 7 years old. I eat lots of fish, and I have a very, very healthy way of eating.
While the quest to eat cleaner or healthier can often be used to moralize food and justify rigid restrictions, eating healthy foods is not inherently disordered if it's accompanied by an ability to be flexible and not let these preferences control your life. There's obviously lots of nutritional benefits to be had in meals like this. So, we've got antioxidants and fiber from the veggies, we've got high quality protein, omega-3 fats, and iron in the fish. Even from a nutrition perspective, we can also have too much of a good thing. Just take the mercury in fish for a minute. I mean, sure, some fish are lower in mercury, so like salmon and haddock, for example, but when you only eat a handful of foods like this, it's still very possible to exceed safe mercury levels. So for example, eating 3 servings of salmon or 2 servings of haddock in a day would likely increase Victoria's mercury intake beyond what is considered safe. So this is one of the many reasons why variety is the spice of life. Likewise, too much fiber from vegetables can also result in digestive distress like bloating, constipation, and diarrhea, especially if the fiber is coming from high FODMAP vegetables, which can be more difficult for some folks to digest. And the lack of diet variety and calories can also disrupt our gut microbiome and digestive enzyme production,
slowing down
gut motility, and resulting in bloating and other symptoms. I talk all about the impact of EDs and digestion in my video right here. But ultimately, the disordered nature of a diet like this really lies in one's intention, one's ability to be flexible, and the impact that it has on one's life as a whole.
And the way that I eat, I'm very, very disciplined. I work out a lot and I eat very, very healthily. That's just who I am, and that's just, I'm not the most exciting eater.
The thinspo, fitspo wellness culture rhetoric around discipline and working hard is so toxic. It honestly just has to go. This is not discipline that we should be admiring or trying to emulate. This is restriction, deprivation, and possibly overt malnutrition. This is the shrinking of a woman's world, physically and emotionally. And don't be roped in by the fussy eater excuse either. You do not need to be a foodie or an exciting eater to meet your nutritional needs, especially if those needs are enhanced by what Victoria describes as a rigorous 2-hour daily workout routine made up of a 7K run followed by an hour-long session with her personal trainer. This is dangerous. Research has shown that excessive exercise without adequate fuel can not only increase the risk of malnutrition, but it can also lead to muscle wasting, electrolyte imbalances, heart issues, injuries, and in extreme cases, even death. I'm of course mindful of the fact that Victoria works in the fashion industry where the beauty standard has historically endorsed a size 0 frame. So it is definitely not outside the realm of possibility that Victoria feels pressured to fit into this beauty standard and feels the need to adopt this rigid lifestyle in order to uphold it. But the question is this even sustainable?
I absolutely don't deny myself anything, you know. If I wanted something, I'd have it, you know. It's just who I am, you know. I have this healthy way of eating that works for me.
So I'm hearing a lot of this kind of "this is who I am" rhetoric, which tells me that this routine has become deeply ingrained in her identity. And again, not diagnosing, but this is also a core feature of orthorexia because folks with orthorexia moralize food as good and bad. So when they do engage in what they perceive to be a bad eating behavior, they often identify as bad themselves. A perfect example of this is when David recalled a singular moment in time when he and his wife shared a meal that Victoria typically would not eat, and then she proceeded to never eat that food ever again. Ugh. Like, I am so sad to hear something like that. You know, often folks who struggle with food describe intense long-term fear and guilt after a singular experience with a forbidden food. And this fear might become even more ingrained when someone draws attention to the slip up, as David did in this case, even if it was in a positive light for him. This is why with picky kids, for example, we actually don't want to praise them for eating a scary food. We want to remain as neutral as possible. And the same can be said for adults struggling with food. I know how scary it is to change an aspect of your life when you believe it is just synonymous with who you are. But no life is inherently so small. There is so much room in this world to grow and thrive when we let go of self-imposed rigid restraints.
So much attention on eating fat-free. And now what we know is the complete opposite, actually. I mean, my diet now consists of a lot of healthy fats. I mean, numerous avocados, for example, and seeds and nuts.
Yes. The fat-free craze of the 90s. I do not miss it. And the collective acceptance of fats today just goes to show why we really should never be married to any of these changing food fads. Having said that, I am very relieved to hear that Victoria is subsisting on, more than just fish and vegetables and has a little bit more variety in what she eats. So other than eating more healthy fats, she's also shared with her Instagram followers that she will often prepare a green monster smoothie with things like apples, kiwis, lemon, spinach, broccoli, and chia seeds. So we are getting some carb action from the fruit, some healthy fats and fiber from the chia, and of course, micronutrients and more fiber from the greens. I would love to see more protein here though, maybe by adding in some silken tofu, powdered peanut butter, or a scoop of protein powder. Especially considering her activity level, we want to ensure that we are supporting muscle protein synthesis by getting in enough protein in the day. She's also shared that she will often have sprouted grain breakfast cereal, which is loaded with whole grains and fiber. However, one serving is pretty low calorie as a breakfast meal, even with the unsweetened almond milk that she adds and the berries in there. So to really bump up that staying power and add some more calories to this breakfast, we could throw in some more seeds and swap the almond milk for soy milk, which would help to boost up the calories and protein.
What is your comfort food?
And this is where I sound even more boring in the food department. What do I like? I like whole grain toast with salt on it. It's that carby thing, isn't it? It's that carbohydrate that makes you feel comforted?
I don't want to like yuck someone's yum here, but really, out of all the carby comfort foods out there, I mean, I could totally understand maybe some toasted bread with some salted butter on top, but like just plain bread with salt? Womp womp. Ditto for forfeiting birthday cake for a fruit cake. I mean, yes to fruit dressed up like cake for a refreshing weeknight snack, but for like a birthday? Girl, have the damn cake. As for the constant disclaimer about being a boring eater, again, not diagnosing, but it's worth mentioning that it's very common for folks with orthorexic tendencies to lean on a more socially acceptable label. So whether that's vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, fussy, or that they just like to eat really healthy, I know this because I used all of those myself. I told myself that I preferred fat-free cheese. Who prefers fat-free cheese? But this internal and external discord is often why orthorexia can be so difficult to recognize and diagnose, because these behaviors are often normalized in today's wellness culture obsessed society. So I'm gonna say it one more time for the people in the back. I'm not here to diagnose or imply that Victoria suffers from an ED, but I do think that this interview provides a typical blueprint for how folks can engage in dangerous restriction under the guise of eating healthy, being picky, or having a disciplined personality. And what's even worse is that these attributes are often celebrated and encouraged, as is apparently the case with Victoria. So in conclusion, if it is not yet clear, I want to reiterate that often the healthiest seeming regimens can result in the least healthy lives, because there are very real mental and physical health risks to making your food world so small. So my hope is that David can appeal to his wife and they can look forward to a day when they can share a meal that is not just steamed fish and veg. And on that note, that is all that I have for you guys again today. If you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up, leave me a comment below on who or what you'd like to see me review next, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!